Yeah, so I calculated it out. In the last 6 weeks, I made $10,000.
Damn.
10 grand in 6 weeks.
Yeah, not that bad.
Yeah.
Bathroom remodel.
Yeah, and that sounds like just a simple, easy process that anybody could do,
Yeah, I just kind of went for it, and here we are.
Nice, man. Well, you guys ready to start this? Yeah. All right, cool. And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Dirty and Driven Podcast. My name is James Devinney. I am your host on this fine, beautiful Tuesday afternoon or morning, whenever you're listening to it on Tuesday. I'm joined today by the lovely, beautiful, bodacious KCD.
How are you?
And I'm also joined by the lovely, beautiful, bodacious.
Nah, I can't comment. And whatever bodacious means, whatever your definition of that is.
Victoria.
Hey.
Drinking out of the human-sized pink John Deere mug.
Yeah, is it Breast Cancer Awareness Month, or is that next month? Or
It is this month.
Actually.
Yeah, it's October.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
There you go. That's how that ties in.
John Deere.
She thinks my tractor's sexy.
Letters 3 foot high.
So this is the show where we bring people to the blue-collar world, teach them how to kick ass. Our goal is to gain, train, and retain solid people in the workforce. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about that retain stuff. We'll get to that later.
What?
I don't know. Everybody just picked up their phones and started looking at them.
I'm getting...
Well, I'm just looking that Snyder's posted that you can get fried turkeys.
Yeah, you can always get fried turkeys there. We've currently, it's pretty spooky outside. You guys see all the ghosts and monsters outside walking in the studio?
Goblins.
Yeah, generally I'm fighting off all these women that are trying to come after me, but today I was fighting off ghosts.
Yeah, we've got good old goblins on Grand tonight.
Yeah, we got a parade going on outside, or a Halloween carnival going on right outside the studio. There's always stuff going on down here. That's what I like about it.
Well, Casey, I called James earlier today, and I was like, hey, we should go to Goblins on Grand tonight. And he was like, no. I was like, well, why not? We haven't done stuff together. He's like, well, it's for children. I was like, are you sure?
Yeah. If you show up as older than children and, hey, so your kids are here? No, we don't have any kids. We're just watching kids.
Oh, well, your company sponsored a booth. Well, no booth here.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to soccer games or something and someone walking up to the creepy guy in the lawn chair and, hey, cool.
Which kid's yours?
Yeah, man, I don't have any kids. I'm just out here just watching.
I just like
That is terrifying.
I just like youth sports.
Yeah.
The youths.
Did you say you like youth shorts? No, sports.
There you go. Abe Lincoln. Did somebody say, hey, Blinken? No, I said Abe Lincoln.
I don't know where to go from there.
Well, that's when I learned that is not. I guess it's a children's thing.
What is? Oh, the Goblins on Grand.
Yeah. I was like, I just have never been before. And you're like,
So if you hear any children screaming in the background, we are not doing anything heinous in our studio. It's actually outside the studio where heinous things are happening to children.
They're just trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
Trick or tweet.
After the last episode, I did some fact checking or snopesing on a few things that I said on our last episode, and I was wrong. I was kind of right, but I was about the 80-20 right on a few
about
of my
Marilyn
things.
Monroe's last name?
Well, that, which I'll get to that. Yes, this pertains to both of those. One is the measurements were 36, 24, 34. I think I said 38, 26, 38, 24, 34.
You thought she was busty.
Yeah, or,
That's still, okay.
So 36, 24, 34. So she had the same measurements as Jenny McCarthy, the ones that I talked about before, right?
The perfect measurements, huh?
Yeah.
Victoria's just shaking her head.
I'm not saying the perfect.
Well, I think that they said that Jenny McCarthy had the perfect measurements.
They did?
I don't know, dude. I wasn't alive in that era.
Okay, and her original name was Norma Jean Baker. Okay. So let me tell you where I got this thing twisted. I said Norma Jean Davy. Okay.
Right.
And how I got that so messed up was I was thinking of the Elton John song, Candle in the Wind. Goodbye, Norma Jean. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Banger.
Norma Jean. Then I was thinking of his song Tiny Dance for some reason. Blue Jean Baby. And I was hearing Davy, so I thought Norma Jean Davy. But
1, 2, 6.
So listen to this.
Here it is.
You know where I got the Norma Jean Davy, how I mashed that all together? There was this movie in the late 80s, early 90s called The Legend of Billie Jean. And it was about this girl who she used to have long, pretty hair, but then she ended up shaving her head and fighting the system. And her name was Billie Jean Davy.
Oh.
And she rebelled and got back at the bad guy, killed him or something. It was one of them.
So you combine Norma Jean, Billie Jean, Davy, Navy.
Yeah. Yeah, I meshed like they married Norma.
You meshed like 10 things together.
Yeah, so that's where I got the Norma Jean Davy. So
Speaking of last episode, man, a lot of people have reached out. And I mean, at this point, we're recording 2 days after we released it. Had several people reach out and say that they definitely related to that one. One person hit me up. They're like, "Damn, dude, today's episode's hard to listen to." I was like it sucked or like you relate? And he's like, "No, dude, like I relate to it." I was like, "Oh, okay." You were trying to tell me it sucked.
Gosh, the trains.
that's good.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times a day at work I get stuck at the train tracks? It is so annoying. At least 3 times every day.
Work taking Victoria to
I'll
the
be
train
having
station.
to go from the Alki to South Plant every time without fail. And they're always the slow ones.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then there's like 2 trains coming, or the
Sensual.
BNSF people are out there doing whatever the heck they're doing. I'm like, I feel like it's just gotten substantially worse.
I mean, I'm gonna refrain from shit talking the railroad right now because that's a whole rant that I will gladly go on anytime. But I know that we're on a time crunch on this episode. So,
But I got 2 comments. 1, do you have a Halloween costume? You and Melody. Have you thought about it? Or what are you guys doing?
I haven't thought about it, no.
he's just going as the meat hammer.
Okay. James and I haven't either. 2, what is on your fingers?
They're the things that we tie wires together with, the little Velcro.
Yeah, they're just little Velcro
He's just
deals
making
that-
rings out of them.
Oh, I thought
It's
you
my
were
nervous. It's my nervous tick.
You know what's funny is I was gonna video this episode, which would have been a good one, but I thought it was just gonna be us 2, and I can handle the 2 cameras right now, but I'm not quite set up for 3. So next time.
Well, I wasn't sure if it looked like electrical tape. I'm sure if you were like taping yourself together, you had a rough time at work. I don't know.
No. But electrical tape does come in handy to always have on you should you ever accidentally slice your finger. It's in time of need. If you slice your finger, don't have a Band-Aid around, get you some type of hopefully clean Kleenex or wipe-alls or something of that sort. Put it on there and then get that flexible electrical tape and just wrap it around with a little bit of pressure.
You know, it's wild, dude. So I learned this trick today, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are gonna be like, "Yeah, dude, duh, that's like 101 on repairing utility lines." Every time I start talking, everybody picks their phones up. Damn it.
This is important.
But anyways, I was at work and we had a utility line or a water line leaking back by our asphalt plant, and I was back there for most of the day dealing with all that good stuff, and then they couldn't quite get the water totally shut off, so it's still like flowing at a pretty good rate. Dude, they just shoved a bunch of hamburger buns in the line and long enough to fix it.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, somebody talked about that at work the other day.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I didn't know that they did that.
As soon as he said, "Do we have any bread?" Like, I knew exactly. I was like, "Yeah, it makes sense. It'll dissolve in the water." Like, yeah, no, yeah, okay. Like, but it's just one of those things you don't think of. So, like, whenever people say, "Are blue collar people smart?" or something like that, it's like, yeah, dude, would you have thought to put hamburger buns in a 2-inch pipe?
I guess welders use it a lot. I don't know for what, but
Checks out.
yeah, I was like, what? Because I was like, I don't know what to. We got 2 loaves of bread in our office, and I didn't know what to do with them. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll just use that for like leaks or whatever. And I was like, huh?
Well, it was funny. I called the office. I was like, "Hey, do we have any bread in the kitchen?" And they're like, "Bread? what do you need bread for? And it was just
Don't
like
worry
a
about
million questions. And I was like, I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell my brother, my wife, literally everybody. I'm going to ask you an odd question. I just need you to give me a yes or no, and I'll explain it all later. But right now, I just need to know. And then it was just like, oh, okay, bread.
Well, they thought it was funny
Got rid
because
of your diet?
they thought it was funny because James never eats bread.
Yeah. So they were very confused by what I was asking for.
Another good thing that works to plug up bullet wounds are tampons.
And
Also,
nosebleeds.
okay.
Why bullet wounds?
Huh?
Bullet wounds.
No, I'm serious. Have you not heard that?
No.
Yeah, they were doing seriously.
I mean, I believe it.
I could be spitballing, but military, yeah, that was one of the cheap ways for a temporary pressure fix until,
Well, we did that all the time in rugby. Somebody breaks their nose, they pop it back into place, and they shove a tampon up your nose.
Somebody had a bloody nose a couple weeks ago at the very beginning of the turnaround, and one of my coworkers was like, "They can use a women's hygiene product." And I was like, "A tampon?" He was like, "I didn't want to say it out loud." I was like, "Are you good, man?"
They're walking
Yeah.
around with a maxi pad on their nose instead.
They just tape it.
I thought that's what you meant.
You didn't mean that.
Yeah.
Super plus.
Yeah, it's an old school trick. I guess it makes sense for a bullet hole though. So if you
Yeah,
ever
and
get
I-
shot on the job site, then just shove a tampon up it.
And I think there is some type of technology out there too, medical like technology, to where it's in field, kind of the same idea, to where you shove it in the wound and it'll expand. It's not a tampon, but it's kind of the same principle.
Right. Hey.
It's just a tampon, but it comes in a camo package. So it's manly.
Yeah, and it probably costs like 20 times as much because it's from the federal
Bullet
government.
hole soaker upper.
Yeah, they'll have one of them fancy names for
Bullet
it.
Max.
Neighborhood services names for it. Yeah. Or administrative assistant.
That was funny. Yeah.
Oh, another one is
Executive assistant.
Another one is stimulation services. Have you heard of that one?
Is that a
No,
hooker?
what the hell?
No, that's what a lot of the fracking companies call themselves. We're stimulation. We're not fracking
That
and
sounds
blowing.
so weird.
We're not drilling and blowing apart the ground and fracturing it. We're stimulating the ground in order for gas to be able to be extracted.
I think strippers call themselves that too.
No, I'm like
Stimulation service.
Okay, shut up on that one. I'm pretty sure that's just like that had to have been a joke. Like, hey, you think this is gonna work if we name it this? You think people? You know what I mean? No. Okay.
No, we know.
We know.
Seeing how far they could take
Stimulation
a
services.
joke.
Stimulation services.
I ain't going there. Move on.
Move on. Oh shit.
And we're not firing on all cylinders. What's going on
Dude,
here?
we are not firing on all cylinders. I think
Dude,
it's just,
I tried.
I think it's just 2 days. 2 days in the week, man. It's like, whoa. We've been and it's hard recording during the week for us. I feel like the weekends we're loose, we're relaxed, we're rested up,
Hey, you
ready
guys
to
should have
go.
come to a story with me at 5.
You should have invited us.
Well.
Victoria went to the bar by herself before the show started, and then was like, "Well, they're closing next week, so I wanted to be there. So I wanted to go before they closed."
Well,
It's like by yourself.
I really wanted a pina colada today. That's all we were talking about at work.
Coladas?
That's what we were talking about at work today. So that's all I thought about.
Getting caught in the rain.
That and steak sandwiches.
Did they put an umbrella in your pina colada?
No.
She's from New Orleans, so they put an upside down umbrella in the bottom of the glass.
That make what the fuck? What?
It's called a Hurricane Katrina. They give you 13 ounces of alcohol in a 12-ounce glass,
James. That's honestly like not that funny.
and they have an umbrella in it, but it's upside down in the bottom.
Where'd you hear that?
John Crispit.
I was going to say, because I was pretty slick if you just came up with that.
No, it was a
you
John
think
Crispit.
that man's witty?
No, he has
sometimes.
a whole bit about like he's like I love how they call like name drinks after like natural disasters or
Yeah.
something. He's like an Irish car bomb, dude. How do you think people in Ireland feel about that? He goes, a mudslide? He goes, go to India and order a mudslide. It's
Yeah.
like my cousin died in one last week.
Yeah, that's good.
And then he went on and did the Hurricane Katrina bit.
Well, speaking
and then
of-
the best one, he always ends that joke. He goes, my favorite drink is a Barack Obama. And everyone, oh, what's a Barack Obama? He said, I sit down at the bar and I order a drink and make the guy next to me pay for it.
Anyways, I was telling people at work about the church or weed shop thing, like game.
Yeah, that's another John Chris thing that Victoria and I play like all
really
the time.
fun.
It's called Church or Weed Shop.
Yeah, have you heard that before? Oh,
So many churches now are trying to be like trendy and modern and
well, same with weed
and
shops.
same with weed shops. So they'll have very similar like names and branding.
yeah.
And there's some that it'll be like Ignite. And you're like,
Redemption.
yeah, Blue Flame.
Blue Flame, yeah.
Yeah. What was the one I sent you the other day?
Mile High.
Yeah, Mile High. It was a church.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was in Colorado. It's like a lot of that. So we play that game all the time. It's pretty
Yeah,
like
if we're traveling
Just
and we
drive
see
around.
something weird, we'll be like, hey, church or weed shop. And usually it's like the exact opposite of what you think.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever listen to any of the Adam Sandler albums that he would put out?
Thanksgiving song?
Yeah, I mean those albums, you know, they would have songs, but then they'd have short little skits, you know, where he was, you know,
Yeah.
So,
Audio,
Been a
yeah.
while, but yeah.
well, one along that same line, he'd have on he'd pretend like he was a reporter, and he goes, "Oh, you know, hey, I'm an investigative reporter, and I'm going to go out and interview people. Now, what I have here is various sounds. They're two different distinct sounds. One of the sounds is of guys in the gym working out, okay? It's guys just clanking weights, working out, doing their thing in the gym, right? And the other sound is various different couples having sex, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this in front of, you know, certain people, and I'm going to play it, and I'm going to have them guess, is it someone working out or someone having sex? So
That's a good game,
Dude, he
dude.
would play it, and, you know, they would guess, and, oh, that's definitely two people. That's definitely two people working out right there. Nope, they were, you know, then he would go on his skit, then,
Oh, that's funny.
We used to play this game in church called Taylor Swift or Lamentations. And you'd go up and it'd be like they'd throw a lineup on a screen. You had to guess if it was a Taylor Swift lyric or a Lamentations verse. And you'd be very surprised. It was always like nobody ever got them right. It was crazy.
what was the verse?
Lamentation. The
Taylor
book.
Swift, I think it was Taylor Swift or Lamentations. Lamentations is like the book of the Bible that's it's like really boring, dry, like just like the law. It's,
I knew you were trouble when you walked in. Taylor Swift or Lamentation?
Yeah.
God himself said that to Moses.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a funny game.
Adam Sandler's on tour right now again.
I saw, I don't know if y'all are part of the United Way auction.
I saw
you
it.
saw that too?
It starts at 100 for 2 tickets.
Not bad.
Um,
I'm currently bidding on the Shoot Heaven tickets. I want those so freaking bad.
you might be able to get
Really?
them. We know a few people.
I want
we
Shoot
just hold on.
Heaven.
We just need to get a sponsorship with the rodeo this year.
Yeah.
How much is it?
We just need to do.
Shoot Heaven.
I wonder if we can trade media airtime for those tickets.
I think we could do it. Money's no option. And we've got some.
I think no
good
money changes
connections.
hands. Just get with our connections and
Yeah.
give them some free press.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, I really want to go to Shoot Heaven.
So at that Adam Sandler, my wife and I had tickets to go see him in Windstar at Windstar. You know, the largest casino in the world on the Oklahoma-Texas border.
Yeah.
And right before we went to go see him, the old COVID decided it was going to hit and canceled our tickets and the shows and all that crap.
Oh.
But fortunately, we got reimbursed. So.
You had to try and bid on those? I bid on the professional white teeth thing. White teeth
White
whitening.
tea, wow. All right, so we don't need to talk about you guys' work auction.
But
It's for United Way.
but the Adam Sandler concert, he just came out. He was just putting out the video, which this was, you know, obviously a few years ago. But the songs "Phone, Wallet, and Keys" had just came out. Have you ever heard that one?
Wallet, keys.
You know, you always got to make sure you have that. And then it turns into he needs his phone, wallet, keys, laptop, passport. I forgot my wife. You know, he forgot. And then the other song, the famous one that he just came out with then was a tribute to Chris Farley. Did you hear that one?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. It's a great song, man. He starts off, you know, obviously Chris Farley was, you know, a super close friend. And he starts it off talking about, you know, it's just nice. Then it builds up and it shows all the great times, how fun of a guy he was. But then it kind of slows down and gets to a sad part, you know. And then the end of it, he ends it on a happy note. It's just a great roller coaster. And while he's singing it on the video, his official video, he's got, a big presentation slideshow behind him showing,
cute.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So we were getting ready to go see him right when all that crap came out. But then,
Oh man.
But then the government created virus was released on us, and
Dude, it's kind of okay. So last week you didn't get you weren't really quite understanding the whole imposter syndrome thing. Dude, Chris Farley, you talk about, he was like the poster child of that, because he'd hit his friends up and he'd be like, do you think I'm funny?
Dude,
Am I funny?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because I had talked about that with you too.
Yeah, he would hit his buddies. I mean, he's top of the game, dude.
Yeah,
he's best of the best.
And so for people that, what James was just talking about, which we had mentioned it once, was you'd heard stories about Chris, he might be partying late at night, but then at 2 or 3 in the morning, he would call up David. I think David Spade was one of them.
Yes.
And he would just be bawling his head off, and David would be like, hey, man, is everything all right? And Chris Farley, he would just, instead of being his, outgoing self, he'd be there thinking that, do people really like me? Do they think I'm funny enough? Yeah. And he wouldn't believe.
But that's it. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's just like the Wheeler Walker Jr. song that you talked about. Dude, I listened to that right after we got done recording, and I was like, it pissed me off how that was exactly what we were talking about. Just, well, if my dick is up, why am I so down?
Well, we were talking about that at work today, like needing validation.
Yeah.
And so, like, Garrett today was like, good job, Victoria. And I was like, thanks. Because he knows I need validation.
Yeah. Well, we weren't talking about validation so much as just like...
Well, imposter syndrome has a lot to do with, like, you need validation.
Right. Yeah. So that is one way as an employer you can, or like as a boss, if you have someone that struggles with that, is you can tell them good job here.
Like my boss, like Matt knows I need validation.
Yeah.
Like Doug, who's, I don't know how old, does not need it. But me... I need every once in a while, just like, hey, you're doing good. You're
Again, some people need the carrot and some people need the stick.
Yeah,
right?
and some people need it more than others. But remember, the more it's done, the less power it has, because then it just becomes white noise. If it's good job, every step, good job. But if it's a good job peppered in every now and then, and sometimes nice. Like when it's unsuspecting, then that's when it hits home.
Well, the biggest thing is it has to be real.
Yeah.
So I talk about this book all the time. I think it's one of the best books ever written on any sort of weeding out negative thoughts in your life, being a good leader, just getting past a lot of these mental issues. Very practical book, awesome book, relentless solution focus. And there's one chapter where they talk a lot about you have to give those to people, but don't just thank somebody for the sake of being, oh, you're doing so good at your job lately. No, find something, even if somebody's screwing up a lot, find little things that they did right, something real,
right,
that they did a good job at, and just say, hey, good job on that, or thank you for doing that, or something along those lines. And that you're not babying them, you're not telling them good job when they did a bad job. You're finding something legit to say good job about. Yeah. Like if you know you did a bad job, Victoria, and your boss said, oh, good job, Victoria, I know you, and you would go, no, you're full of shit. You'd be like, I know this wasn't good.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know in our hearts that it's whether it's a good job or not. But if somebody recognizes something even small, and I say the smaller the better sometimes, like there's little things that I do that I'm sure nobody notices, but like, if I was gone for a month or something, it'd be like, well, why isn't all this shit getting done, But whenever people notice that and they're like, hey man, I appreciate that you do that. It's like, oh, cool. Like that's nice to be recognized for that,
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's the topic of this week?
Wow, what a segue.
Damn. All right, I think it's time to start wrapping up.
I think it's time to start wrapping up. Good job, guys. No.
I got bored, sorry.
Yeah, I know. You started grabbing your phone, zoning out. Oh, you freaking jokers.
Yeah, maybe we should take our phones and, stick them in a box.
Put them in a box. Yeah. Well, anyways, today's topic, thanks for the perfect segue, Victoria, is we just want to talk about the relationship between office and field. Victoria's been in both positions the last couple months. I've been in both positions.
Desk lady versus not desk lady.
Right. Well, Victoria's been on both ends of the coin. She's been a field worker for the last couple months, and before that, she was a
desk lady, and before that, I was a field engineer.
Engineered.
Yeah. It's okay. The other day, one of the operators was looking at Jenna and I, we're both engineers, and they were like, you guys have got to stop doing this engineer thing. We are putting you to work. I was really hoping they would give us some wrenches, but we'd get in trouble, so we can't.
Yeah, you're not certified to use those wrenches.
I did shovel sludge. I did shovel sludge like 2 weeks ago.
If you do need
can't say I didn't do any work.
So why were you not certified to use those wrenches? Were the wrenches not certified, or were you not certified?
We are not union.
Oh.
Do you have to be OQ'd to use wrenches?
No, you have to be in the union.
Huh.
So engineers are not in the union, so we can't touch anything.
You didn't have a pride flag on your hard hat?
Did you hear about that?
What? I was making a joke about the union.
Oh, I was like, oh no, there was a whole deal. We don't make jokes about the union, James.
Oh, I do, just because there's a lot of people
All
listening
right,
to this.
Casey, are you union?
You talking about Tulsa Union?
I'm talking about USW.
I have
United
no clue
Steelworkers.
I have no clue what that is either.
Are you union?
No.
Really? Midstream's not union?
Not where we're at now.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, we're all United. They're all
Casey's
United
a G,
Steelworkers.
man.
All the
God dang
operators and
independent.
instrument techs are United Steelworkers, and then electricians are in part of IBEW. I think
We're
it's
walking
like
out.
I think it's IBEW 4444. Anyways. Yeah, so I've been a field person and I've been a desk lady.
So anyways, yeah, I like talking about this too because there was one time this guy that we had just hired. I was out in the field working. I was running a roller for a few weeks. And he goes, he says, man, I just don't know. And he didn't realize what my actual job was. He thought I was just an operator out there or something. And he goes, man, I don't know. I just don't know if I could ever do a desk job, just sitting in an office with my feet up, reading the newspaper all day. I mean, I probably would just because the money's there, but I think I'd just get bored doing that all day.
It is boring.
And it was like, dude. So that's where I realized, like, okay, there's a serious breakdown between field people and office people. Like, everybody's got to support everybody, right? Nobody's better than the others. Like, I hate when companies put their managers or their executives on a pedestal, but like, you know, treat their bottom rung people like they're bottom rung. You know, nobody is anybody without the other side. Like if you're a guy in the field, you've got to have work to go do, and you've got to worry about the job you're on now. You got to worry about the next job, the next task. You've got to worry about the stuff going on in the field. If you're an office guy, then you've got to worry about making sure those guys have work to go do. Or your support, meaning you're the person that's doing the billing or you're doing accounts payable, receivable, all that shit, right? So there's everybody's got a role, which I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. But I think it's important to note the relationship between the two, because whenever you're in the office a lot, especially if you're somebody who doesn't get out in the field much, whether it be intentionally or whether it just be it's really hard for you to get out in the field, then you kind of lose a grasp on what those guys are actually going through out in the field. And if you're a field person and you never hang around the office and you never talk to the people in the office, you just think that they're douchebags who sit around all day and read the newspaper and don't do real work. So, but they're both hard. They both have their own challenges and they both have their own frustrations and things like that.
Like coming from the projects group into this turnaround, implementing other people's projects, it's easy to get the mentality of like, oh my gosh, they didn't even think about these things. Like, man, those darn projects people. And then I'm in the background, I'm like, wait, that's me.
Well, I can't tell you how many times I've been on a job site, and I've been guilty of saying this too. You look at a set of plans and you go, this is the dumbest fucking thing I have ever seen in my life.
I know.
Like you look at a set of plans, and it's getting more and more common because you look at these plans are being rushed out because everybody's getting federal money right now, at least in my business. And so it's like, all right, we got to design these jobs yesterday and start building them the day before yesterday.
Us getting federal money? Never.
So it's one of those deals where things are just getting rushed to spend this money. And so you look at these plans and you're like, this is so dumb. But yeah, like that engineer, like I couldn't design that set of plans. So, you know, it's just one of those things of understanding.
Well, I had to put my own project in the turnaround. And I'm looking at some stuff and I'm like, what the heck did I do?
You were sitting there like, man, this engineer is dumb as fuck.
And then at back, I was like, wait,
oh,
that's
shoot.
me. I was like, ooh, yikes. And some of the guys were like, yeah. And I was like, ooh, sorry.
Have you come across
thought that out through.
Have you come across stuff that like a project that you put together that you're dealing with right now that you had to change on the fly and rework?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
Has it been
happening
like,
right now.
Has it been a big change or?
No, it's all like really little things.
Right.
So they haven't been the end of the world, but it's things where you're out there and you're like, wow, that makes so much sense. But at the time
It's
when
tough to
you're
foresee.
doing,
Yeah.
when you're doing the engineering or you're like doing the design, you never think about it.
Yeah.
And then like it ends up being okay. But then people come up to you and be like, well, why didn't you put this in? Or why didn't you do this? And you're like, well, honestly, I've stared at these drawings for a year and a half straight and that didn't come to mind.
Yeah, and that's, I guess you could tie some of that from to the field in the office. You don't want to get everybody. We've spoke about this before. You don't want to get everybody where it's just flooded with opinions. But when you're putting that project together, it's good to hopefully take it to the operations or the people that know the units that are going to be dealing with it and say, hey, do you have any ideas? And give them a clear picture of what you're drawing up in the office compared to the guys that are out there in the field that are going to use it. And if y'all can bounce, the more y'all bounce off each other, then hopefully the less down the line.
Yeah,
but my comment to that is I did that and I didn't get a whole lot of comments back. And then putting them in, it was like, what?
Yeah.
Why didn't you do this? I'm like, man, I've had you in this project since the beginning and I haven't had any comments.
And that happens.
It's always going to be a struggle. I mean, I don't think it'll ever run perfectly, so it's not that big a deal. But
And here's the thing that you have to think about. Engineers are thinking whole big picture, right? It's hard to design the whole big picture straight down to the last detail. It's impossible.
Right, yeah.
You're never going to be on any project of size that has a engineered set of plans that doesn't have a change order, that doesn't have RFIs, that doesn't have that, because it's impossible.
Yeah.
All right, because you're not out there in the field. You don't understand how all the building of all these little details goes. And then also, you ask them to look at a set of plans. Well, shit, man.
Who has time
just
for that?
trying. Yeah, they're working 12-hour days already as it is. They're worried about the project they're working on
this
now.
engineer wants me to look at all these drawings.
Well, and they may not even complain about it, but they're going to glance at them. They're going to look at them, but they're not going to be able to go down to every last detail. And there's some things that they didn't see or they didn't think about until it got down to doing it. And then they go to do whatever task it is that day, and they go, oh, we can't do that because this design is wrong.
Well, yeah. So being on both sides of the fence, like when I was in New Orleans, I was in maintenance. And then the projects group would send me all these drawings to give comments on, and you have like 2 weeks to do it, but it's like 100 pages of drawings. I never looked at those.
No.
I almost never did. And then I'd just be like, no comments. And then they'd install it, and then I'd go out there and be like, well, this is kind of stupid. So now being on the project side, asking for comments from people, I'm like, yes, I get both sides. So you can't expect somebody to go through 100 drawings, but also, like, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just that you're never going to know. And that's why, like, what you're doing is a rarity. All right. So you design plans, you make that stuff, you engineer the stuff, but you've been in the field the last several weeks working with these people, hands-on, looking at it, being around it, hearing the bitches and moans of what the fuck's going on here? What is this? Like, most engineers aren't getting out in the field much. And I can't tell you how many jobs I've been on that the engineer has never even driven out to the job.
Oh, I know.
And so, there's all these things wrong and all this stuff that's, they're just going off of information that others have given them. And they don't have the full picture because they haven't even seen it. So
or going off of previous drawings.
Yeah.
And just being like, oh yeah, this drawing is 100% correct because it's the most up-to-date one, not knowing that 90% of the time people change things in the field and never update the drawings.
Right. Yeah. And so you being out there, but like you also get to see the process of how it's built, because there's something that you might design. You might say, well, yeah, this is fine. This makes sense. It's, I only need 2 inches of clearance from this to that, but their tool is 4 inches. And so they can't do it. Like, just little stuff like that. You just don't know it unless you're out there. The
clearance is like just stuff that's ergonomically correct, or will you be able to open this trap door and it not hit the transmitter? It's just all that little stuff. And the hand wheel on the valve or on the motor, it's mounted on the way that the valve's mounted. It's on the opposite side of where you have access to. Or another ergonomic deal is like the height, the height of where the valve is. Are you gonna need a ladder to get to it, or consider that whenever there's a ton of crap.
Well, and sometimes you don't notice things until the end, and you go, "Yeah, that was a poor design."
Yeah,
they
you're like
call
something's
that,
7 feet up, and you're supposed to be able to touch it. And you're like, "Oh shoot, I didn't even think about that."
Yeah, anytime you can, the word is engineer out. Anytime you can engineer out any type of stuff to where, I know y'all are engineers, but anytime you can engineer out like a potential safety hazard via the engineering, the way you draw it up, then that'll prevent having to step over pipes and conduit to get to a certain thing. Mm-hmm. If you drew it up right the first place.
Yeah. A lot of it's like, the little things that you never even think about. Like, man, I'm going to open up this cabinet and it's going to hit right into something. So I won't even be able to open it all the way.
A perfect example of I know y'all are engineers, but a perfect example that I can explain is if you have a storm door that's on the outside of your entry door and you go and the handle's on the right side, the flow would be the handle's on the right side. You pull that, and then the door handle will be to enter the house is on the right side also.
Yeah.
But there's houses to where the handle's on the right side on the storm door, but then the entry handle is on the left side to where you open, then you have to reach. It doesn't.
It's always funky. Yeah.
It doesn't flow.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes it's a money thing too. I mean, sometimes there's designs that this is a stupid design.
Like for example,
to do it right would have been an extra $50,000. So you're just gonna have to live with it.
Well, for example, and I just got this an email from one of the operators of I had to install some new piping in a unit, but it's 30 feet up, and the instrument techs have to be able to access some instruments up there. And I wanted to build a platform so they could get up there to work on it, but that got rejected because building platforms and infrastructure is super expensive. So there's scaffold just going up there right now. And so the area asked me, they're like, "Are you going to be building a platform later on?" And I was like, "No, I got rejected." And they're like, "Can you buy this scaffold for us?" So it's one of those things of ergonomics of I had to design it that way. I didn't have a chance, or I didn't have a choice because of money. And it's going to make it difficult, more difficult later on.
More harder?
Because for them to maintain it, but I didn't have a choice.
So then they don't give you the budget to do stuff like that for, I'm not saying this company, but any company in general. You don't get that because they don't want to put the money up that way.
It doesn't make money.
That way they stay under budget, then they get that big bonus at the end of the year because...
Yeah.
They didn't.
I'm sure every company is that way.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it was one time there was a giant road job I was on, upwards of $10 million. And I was like, hey, we really need to widen the road out more to let traffic come in because we're widening this highway. It was a U.S. highway, 2-lane, and we're putting didn't have shoulders. We were putting shoulders on. It's like, hey, we really need to widen out a little more because right now, as it is, there's not enough room for traffic to go past the crew. Because they wanted to keep traffic continuously flowing. So they basically wanted to detour traffic around the work zone. Well, we were like, we can keep them one way at a time, but we can't do two-way. Well, we need it to be two-way. Well, it needs to be wider. Otherwise, people are going to fall off the edge of the road into the steep ditch. And I was told by engineers that, we can't design for stupid. Because if people were going to drive off into the road.
Stupid, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just it's too expensive to design to prevent stupidity. It's it's safety though. We need to do, and so, we had to completely phase the job and basically, we still built it the way they wanted it, but we had to completely redo their intentions of how to build it. Because in road projects, they have a recommended phases. You should do this first and that, kind of help it flow. Well, we had to completely redo that because it was what they're trying to make us do is not possible. And it's not in the budget. It's going to cost an extra $1.5 million to do this safely the way that they want it done. So we're just going to have to completely change up what we're doing.
So that's I guess, one thing that you have to deal with between the field and the office, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I think that what everybody has to realize is so if you're a field worker and you're reading an engineered set of plans, you just have to realize, I think really what it comes down to is everybody lacks perspective.
And one of the most important things is developing those relationships between the two groups.
Yeah. And you have to work on that. If you're an estimator, for example, like me, or a project manager like me, then you have to be willing to go to your people that are in the field doing the job, building it, doing the work, and saying, hey, here's what I have in mind. Here's how I'm planning this. Here's how I'm going to bid the job. Does that work for you? And then they can say, no, I don't agree with that. Or they say, yeah, that works for me. But if you bid it one way and then they say, dude, that's impossible to do that. We can't do that. And then they can't do it for the price you bid it for. Well, now you're losing money, right? So everybody's got to work together in that regards. And sometimes how it goes is the field person goes, oh, that dumb motherfucker. He doesn't even understand blah, 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 blah. Because to them it's common sense. But to the guy in the office who's not out there working on it every single day, it doesn't always make sense. And then, sometimes when you're in the office, you sit there and you go, well, why are they building it that way? That's not how I bid it. We're going to lose money because of that. But he's not out there doing it every day. He doesn't understand how the process actually works. And then there's people who look at the office girl off to the side and they're like, well, she doesn't do shit, but she's the one sending out bills and invoices and making sure, you're actually getting your money.
Yeah.
And then everybody wants to call engineers stupid, which I do that too. Again, guilty. Especially, I go after civil engineers sometimes, man. I mean, they drive me up a wall, but I can't do my job without them. Yeah. We can't go build a highway without an engineered set of plans. I mean, you just can't. And make it do what it needs to do.
So you're an estimator?
Estimator, project manager.
So can you, how many inches is this far apart?
Well, it looks like 6 inches, but I'm going to tell you 12 inches.
I was figuring it'd be 12. It's 12.
Yeah, it's 12.
Yeah. Well, there have been so many times for the past couple of years where it's been like you're talking to field guys and it's like they never even come out. Like they'll rag on office people and be like, they don't even come out here. So they don't even know anything. It's like field presence. And then also like I said, making those relationships is super important of just like people see your face. So they're more apt to work with you if they know who you are versus if you're just some office, for me, it's like if I'm just some office lady, I'm like, hey, I'm going to put this little project in to do this, and this. And they're like, who does she think she is messing our stuff up?
Well, I think it's good to go along with that for both parties to make it be known, hey, if you ever have an issue or need something, and I try to do that with you all, with y'all's properties and stuff, and anybody that I do work for, I'm appreciative of the opportunity I get to help people and provide for my family. Mm-hmm. I'm appreciative of that. And one way to show it is if you ever need anything, dude, feel free to reach out to me via text or phone. And that's the same with the field people getting out there, like you're saying, and talking with the office or office vice versa, saying, hey, build that relationship to where, dude, I know you don't see me a lot. It seems like there's a disconnect. But if you ever need anything, here's my number. And if you have that good relationship to, dude, I don't care. You can bug me as much as you want. We need to make sure this thing goes good. That's a good way to hopefully connect both parties.
Well, and another thing that I've learned that has helped so much is being super upfront with, for example, I've been working in the Alki for super long. Going to the Alki operators and being like, hey, I don't know a whole lot about this process.
There you go.
Teach me.
Yeah.
So that I can learn and understand your perspective when I'm doing my projects. You come forward with that and just say I need your help versus coming in and being like, I'm doing this.
Yeah. Help you.
Yes.
It's a life changer.
Yeah, people respond to that well too. I've dealt with some pretty hard to work with people, and even the hardest to work with, whenever you come at it with that perspective, hey man, I really just don't know. What do you think? You're hard to work with. People are usually going to like that because usually they have some sort of insecurity and they want to feel like they're better than you anyways. Mm-hmm. So you do that and it's like, oh, cool. And then if you have somebody who's not hard to work with, they're like, oh yeah, dude, I just want to get the job done. Let's work together on this.
And 9 times out of 10, people are more than willing to teach you something. Just like they say, seeking different perspectives.
There you go.
Well, exactly. And back to, I think I started making that point earlier, is I think everything's a perspective issue. So if you're somebody in the field and you don't understand the bidding process, you don't understand why'd we bid this job tight, why'd we bid this job. I mean, hell, even why, there's jobs where you bid it for a loss just to get the work to keep your people working. And people say, why'd we, then you're kind of on edge. You're like, all right, guys, we need to build this job as efficiently as possible so that way we don't lose that much money. And then, you get your guys in the field. You have that perspective of, well, why the hell would this idiot bid it for a loss? Why the hell would, it's like, well, dude, to not have to lay you off. That's why.
Yeah.
To keep enough work, to keep money coming in, to keep you guys fed, right? So that's kind of why we're doing it that way. But I think the best thing you can do, whether you're a field person or an office person, is just seek out a relationship with that other person, like you guys are saying. Gain their perspective. Even if you're a project manager, estimator, and you just go out there and all you do is just talk. I mean, I try to do this a lot. Like, typically when I'm on a job, they don't need my help. I'm probably going to fuck something up before I'm going to help. Now, if there's a bunch of people shoveling and they need help, then yeah, I'm going to grab a shovel and do it. But most of the time, I'm just out there next to the paving machine or, talking to the people that are moving dirt. And it's just like, I go out there, talk to them for a few minutes and just, hell yeah, how's this job going for you? Okay, you got any issues? If I can help you, great. But then sometimes it's also just like, how was your vacation? How's your wife? Yeah. Just talking to them, building that relationship, and they gain a respect for you on a personal level. And then if you're a field guy, walk into that person's office every now and then, just say, hey man, how's it going? Like, you don't have to kiss ass. You don't have to be a hobknocker or.
No, but just like hanging out, dilly-dallying for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
And
just say, hey.
Maybe along the same lines, not only field and office, but subordinates and supervision use that same type of strategy too, to where don't be afraid if you're the owner of the company or a higher up to talk with the entry level people and vice versa. A lot of times, I've done it before, a lot of times being an entry level operator, if you go up and you look the division manager or whoever it is, the big dog, and if you go introduce yourself, shake the hand, look them in the eye, that type of deal, they'll remember that, because a lot of times that doesn't happen from, I'm not saying the lessers, but they'll remember you for being, dang, dude, this guy stepped out.
Yeah.
Okay. And the same deal. We talk about being relatable, especially being a top dog. It's awesome when the top dog goes down and says hi and asks how someone's doing that's on the lower end,
Yeah.
that helps hold that ladder while they keep climbing,
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool, man. So, I mean, I would definitely exercise that as much as you can, whether you're an owner or operator, like you're saying. And I mean, because like also too, like we're talking kind of from the perspective of a medium to bigger organization, like, that relationship still exists in the owner operator. It's just whenever you're an owner operator, you are the foreman and the superintendent and the project manager and the project engineer and the estimator and all that all under one roof. So, I mean, you've really got to make sure you can lean on your guys and trust on them, because a lot of guys in that owner operator role, they don't lean on their guys enough. They've only got 3 or 4 guys maybe, or maybe they have upwards of 10, but they don't put enough trust in their guys to where they can leave the job site and their guys still run flawlessly. It's, well, if I'm not here, everything goes to hell in a handbasket.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, so they're there, and that's how they built their company. They built it around them, so that way now if they're gone, they go on vacation or they have other jobs to look at or meetings to do or whatever. Well, their guys are incapable of working because they have not passed down, the knowledge and the skill to be able to do it. Like a good operation like that is running smooth even if the leader's not there. And your goal should be. And Brian Dannenberger told me this. He said, I tell my guys that within 5 years of working for me, if you can't compete with me, then I failed you as a boss. Yeah. If you can't go off on your own and compete with me, then I failed you as a boss. And that's how our buddy Gage Watson talks. He's like, dude, I want my guy. Like, I don't like he goes on the site and works, but like he sent me a deal the other day and he was like, yeah, man, I was on site for a while and I was the odd man out. He goes, I was the one who was being the holdup, and like he's like, the guys pretty much told me to leave, man. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go do other stuff because like you guys are running better without me here. Like you should want that in your company, but you have to develop the relationships with your people to be able to trust them, because most owner operators just haven't developed the trust. They have trust issues, right?
Yeah.
And same, even in a big organization, if you have a foreman, he feels the same way that, oh, if I'm not here, my crew doesn't work right. And if you
drives
have,
me nuts.
Yeah, if you have that mentality, it just means 1, you don't have the trust in your people, and 2, you haven't invested the time and the leadership skills and the expertise in these people that they can handle a job without you there.
Yeah, I've never had a small business or a large business with employees, but I think the old adage is if you are the owner, you want to hire people that are smarter than you to work for you. Yeah. And that way, when the stuff does come, then you can just delegate it if it needs to be delegated and just lean on them for their expertise.
Mm-hmm. Have I ever told you what Henry Ford said one time in court?
I remember you opened with. I remember the opening, but I don't remember what he said.
So he was in court one time, and I don't remember what he was going to court for. I mean, it was a huge business. It could have been anything, but they were trying to basically show, like, Henry Ford was an 8th grade dropout, and they were trying to show that he was an idiot, and they were like asking him just elementary history questions and stuff like that. The prosecutor, I think he was being sued, so the prosecuting attorney was coming at him saying, "Oh, well, look how stupid he is trying to prove a point." And he was like, "When was the Revolutionary War fought? When was the Declaration of Independence signed? When was, just these, what's 9 + 10? Like, all these questions like that." And Henry Ford finally said, "Look, dude, I have a button. I have a switchboard on my desk that I can call one of like 300 people within our organization, and I can get the answer to any of these questions. I don't need to know them because I know how to find this information." So sit down, basically, is what he said. Is like, fuck off with your stuff. I'm a smart guy, and I have smart people around me.
Yeah, that's the same as I mentioned before. I can't remember who the supposed smart guy was. One of them Einstein people. But the quote was, it's not how much you know, but it's how you can get to the answer, how you can find the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also the alternative to that, which it's not how much you know, it's who you blow.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
where that'd be beneficial.
Yeah. So.
How do you think I got to where I'm at? What?
What?
Just knowledge. It's knowledge is how I got to where I'm at. What did you snicker?
On a hot day, he had a fan, and the AC was out.
Yeah, what were you snickering
He had
for?
a fan in the back of his truck, and he got...
Okay. Anyways.
I think that's a good place to wrap this thing up at. Victoria, do you have any final thoughts?
Don't be that guy. That's all I can say.
Hey, we enjoyed you sitting in today.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It was a nice little surprise. We didn't know you were coming.
Surprise.
To
The fans always like it when there's always a good spike and listens whenever you're on.
Oh, it's the validation I was looking for. Thanks.
Yeah. To Pina Coladas Deep.
Yeah, I'm knee deep in pina coladas.
I need 2 pina coladas. Gotta have one for each hand.
Let's see.
Let's sail with Captain Morgan.
Yeah.
I don't remember the rest.
If you like pina coladas.
Getting back into Buffett, Garth Brooks. They might copyright that part that I just sang. It sounded so much like Garth Brooks.
Could be.
Could be.
Get dinged.
Careful.
So, yeah, if this gets taken down, it's because I sound so much like Garth Brooks.
You could tell them that you were actually Chris Gaines then. You might be able to get away with it.
Dude. All right, so my first boss I ever had was obsessed with the Garth Brooks Chris Gaines thing. Like, I can't tell you how many countless hours he would talk about that. And I should not know about this whole Garth Brooks Chris Gaines thing, really, because it's not relevant to my life. It's one of those things that they tried to bury under the rug. And yeah, I know everything about Garth Brooks and Chris Gaines. I know that one time, the Tonight Show, I think, Garth Brooks was the host and Chris Gaines was the musical accompaniment whenever they were really trying to push that Chris Gaines thing hard. So,
Did you ever see the behind the music or the life, whatever, of Chris Gaines?
I've heard about it, but I never saw it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because they do it, like the roller coaster of Chris Gaines had it all, and they're fun. And all it is Garth Brooks' alter ego. Did you ever hear about it?
No.
Garth Brooks was, he's got money for his grandchildren's, like 5-6 times over, whatever it is.
Yeah.
He got so wealthy that he wanted to test himself differently, so he came up with this alter ego named Chris Gaines.
Oh.
And he made his hair kind of like
he was
black
trying to prove himself in other areas of music.
But he cut his hair and had it kind of in his eyes and had like a soul patch that was black, and he was dark and this mysterious character. He wasn't anything like the country singer.
Real goth looking.
Yeah, goth.
Did he get famous?
Eyeliner.
Did
He would
Chris
wear
Gaines
makeup.
get famous?
I think it had a little bit of traction just because of Garth Brooks. Everybody knew Garth Brooks did it, but
They were promoting it, and then they did the behind the music thing.
Yeah,
and then everybody was like, "This is just Garth Brooks." They were trying so hard to push
But
it.
unfortunately,
that it was a
at the
different
top of his game, it all came tumbling down.
Chris Gaines killed himself. Garth Brooks is just at the funeral singing
Every night he would wake up in a pool of his own piss.
They put his own like they had a funeral for Chris Gaines, and Garth Brooks was like sitting there singing "I'll Fly Away." Like, man, I just knew Chris so well. There's a coffin, closed casket.
It's like he was just like me. Got it.
It was a wild deal. So if you ever want to go down a weird rabbit hole, I mean, everybody's gone down the Tupac didn't kill himself rabbit hole. So that's a good one.
No, I have not.
If you're tired of the Tupac didn't kill himself rabbit hole and he's still alive and he's in a super group with Biggie, then you can go look up the whole Garth Brooks, Chris Gaines thing because there's some interesting stuff there.
Also, another caveat with Garth Brooks, if you ever get on any of his social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, any of those, the big ones, the big four, whatever it's called, anytime he posts something like, hey, I'm doing a stadium tour, and starting in Detroit at Pontiac Silverdome, 99% of the comments are all inside jokes from Tom Segura and Tom Segura's podcast.
Oh, I love Tom Segura.
Yeah, well, all of Tom Segura's followers will get on there. They'll inundate the whole damn comment feed with all of his, it'll be stuff like, hey, Garth, where did you hide the bodies? Because, it's an inside joke that Garth, maybe off some people, that weren't playing along. And another one is, Garth, we know that, you're the one that pooed on the plane. So the inside joke with that is Tom Segura has a friend that worked for a private jet that had Garth Brooks fly on it. And I guess the deal is you never shit on an airplane. Well, when Garth Brooks got off, they went in there to clean it. And they saw that there was a turd inside the airplane, the jet that Garth Brooks got off. So the rumor was that Garth Brooks is the one that shits in an airplane. So if
I'm paying for a private jet, you bet your ass some shit in it.
So they'll talk about Garth, touch me through the fence. Garth Brooks, we know that you browned in the airplane and where the body's at, and it's dude. You pull up Instagram right now and you'll just see any like true fan can't get their genuine comment in there because it's just all Tom Segura shit.
Mobbing
him.
Dude,
it's something else.
You ever seen him live though?
No, my brother saw him acoustic do his acoustic whatever in Vegas when he was doing his little tenure, it's called, residency. Yeah,
we saw him at
dude. That's the first time I used tenure.
Tenure.
Yes.
Ooh.
We need to start doing the KCD word of the week because every show Casey's got like
he's like, ooh, just
a
use
word.
that
He's
word.
like, I've never used that in a sentence before.
I love it.
So the KCD word of the week is tenure.
You read the dictionary for me?
No.
Look, Garth Brooks, his recent deal on Instagram, his big whatever it is, the very first comment, where are the bodies at? G. Because Garth Brooks always refers to himself as G.
G. Yeah.
Thanks, G. For to G, by to G.
Yeah. Here's another one. We don't want to give away G. We want answers. Where are the bodies? And here's another one. Friends in crawl spaces.
Because I got friends in crawl spaces.
It's a dive bar tour that he just announced, and this person says a dive bar seems like the perfect place to stalk your next victim. Don't bring anybody's mothers into this. That was another one. So yeah,
that's funny.
You'll get a kick out of it.
What I love is the amount of independence. Like now that I'm kind of in the independent music scene a little bit with our band and everything. By the way, dude,
your new song is releasing tonight at midnight.
Oh shit, it is tonight. Well, by the time this comes out, the day this show's out, it'll already
check
be out.
out "Thrill Something New" by Fading Fast.
Yep, follow us Fading Fast
and
Band.
Victoria. I mean, I really can't comment on someone's physique for a picture.
Did you see
for
my
an
mom's
album,
comment
for an album cover? But it was a great picture.
Yeah, it was a
Was
great
that
picture.
Photoshop or?
You should have seen the other one that I made that was Victoria.
Did you read it? Did you see that on Facebook?
What?
My mom's comment.
What's
Her mom comments that we posted. She's like, "Oh, sure hope that's my daughter in that album cover."
I was like, Mom, no.
I was like, well, seeing as our singer made that, I'd be very concerned if that was her. I made one that was maybe even a little more scandalous.
Scandalous.
I used it. I made it using an AI photo.
Are you looking at it right now?
No.
I made it using an AI photo editor. This is a funny.
Thanks. It was photoshopped.
Before I get into that, so now that I'm kind of in the independent music thing, is the amount of bands that are like, oh, dude, I don't want to get on Spotify and Apple Music because like I want to get paid for my music. And I'm like, yeah, dude, your 40 fans are not going to pay for your music. Oh, well, the only successful musician doing that is Garth Brooks. Yeah, if Garth Brooks can do it, I can. No, the fuck you can't, dude. Yeah. Garth Brooks was established before streaming came out.
Yeah, you remember LimeWire?
Yeah. Well, but anyways, AI photo editor, there was one I was trying to make the album cover be like a girl looking out the window like to like a sunrise. Right. Okay. And like a girl that, in like a lingerie kind of look, because that's kind of what the song's about, kind of a. So I was trying to do that, and I was trying to make it kind of look like she was tearing up. So I put like girl in red lingerie looking out window to a sunrise with mascara running. Yeah. And it like pops it up. I was like, the heck? This girl looks like she's like out for a jog right next to this window. And then I realized it was literally like this girl wearing red lingerie with mascara on next to a window. And she's like in a running pose. It was so fucking funny.
Instead of mascara running down her face. Yeah.
But I did make one. Victoria's like, who's that girl? And I was like, AI. That's who that girl is.
Hey, I'm not going to mention it on here.
What?
You've got some fans, James.
Yeah, I got to just beat all these women off with the stick.
Your AI,
some of these
your
fans,
AI is going to be like AI is going to be like Jake with State Farm.
Yeah.
Let me guess, it's Jake with State. Let me guess, it's AI.
Most of the people would be like, yeah, it's Eric Strubig or Zach Taylor.
Well, some of these fans are sending James mail.
Oh boy.
I was not happy about it.
Marriage.
Marriage.
All right. Well,
yeah,
guys,
so just a nice comment to all these ladies out there. Quit sending mail to James.
Hey, ladies.
Yeah, dudes, just send me your package.
Okay.
All right, guys, that's a great place to end right there. If you like the show, be sure to give it 5 stars, share it. And if you really liked it, drop $1 in the tip jar. We always appreciate it. No one ever drops just $1. Like, people give us $20, $50 occasionally. I mean, we've even had some $100. And we are very appreciative of those, but they are, they're few and far between. So it's okay if you just give us $1 or $2. We're not gonna be mad about $1 or $2.
Not at all.
We're using it so we can travel, so we can get better equipment, bring guests in and do them in person rather than try and do it online. And, running a podcast is expensive. And at this time, we're not running ads on or for the show. Again, not saying we never will. We are open to certain types of sponsorships if it's right, but they have to align with our beliefs and values. So if that's something that interests you, let us know. But anyways, right now we're not flooding you with 30 minutes of fucking ads like a lot of these big podcasts are doing. So if you like what you hear, just know that we put a lot of money into this with very little return. And also, as always, if you want to implement a gain, train, and retain plan in your business, hit us up. That's what we specialize in, is helping you make your business a place where people want to work and want to apply and want to bring more people. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening. Victoria, say bye to the people.
Bye.
Guys, remember, you're not going to get any better if you never challenge yourself. So do something hard today.
Bye, guys.